Are you getting ready to leave a narcissist, or maybe you want to, but you just don't know how to mentally prepare to do that? In this interview with Melanie Tonia Evans, you're going to find out exactly how to mentally prepare to leave a narcissist. Hi, I'm Rebecca Zung, top 1% attorney and the best-selling author of the books Negotiate Like You Matter and Breaking Free, a Step-by-Step Divorce Guide. And I've helped thousands of people, maybe even millions at this point, go from lives of drama, trauma, and chaos to step into lives of freedom, possibility, and purpose. And I do the same thing for you right here in these videos. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, now is a great time to do that. Subscribe and hit that notification bell. And without further ado, let's dive into part one of my interview with Melanie Tonia Evans.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Negotiate Your Best Life. I am so crazy excited today to welcome Melanie Tonia Evans to our show. She is absolutely a force of nature. She is a global narcissistic abuse recovery expert and the creator of the Quanta Freedom Healing Method and the Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Program, NARP, just NARP, we'll call it NARP. Her leading edge healing methods have helped thousands of people. They've made astounding recoveries. Her work has touched the lives of 15 million people in 100 countries. Absolutely stunning. It's recommended by doctors, psychologists, therapists, people from all over the world. In 2018, she released her first book, You Can Thrive After Narcissistic Abuse, the #1 system for recovering from toxic relationships. It became an Amazon bestseller. It's been translated into multiple languages. She has a background in kinesiology, energy healing, and in 2019 won the Personality of the Year award from Kindred Spirits. She is devoted. She is incredible. She is a force of nature, and she has dedicated her life to personal empowerment and helping people to learn to love themselves and heal after being abused by a narcissist. So welcome, Melanie.
Rebecca, it's such a joy to be here. It really is.
Thank you. So I'm so excited to talk to you because we're both in this world. We're both dealing with people who are dealing with narcissists, but in different ways. Our work really complements each other so much. So I wanted to ask you, first of all, how did you get into this? Tell us about your background, your history.
Sure. Well, Rebecca, I had no idea I was going to grow up and be a narcissistic abuse recovery global expert at all. So how I got into it was I married one. I thought that I've been into personal development and coaching and lots of things, and I really thought I'd worked on myself and I'd hit the jackpot and married this beautiful man that was spiritual, and he was everything I'd ever wanted. And I was getting into something that I'd never experienced before. I loved him with all of my heart, but there was things like jealousy and things that came, the red flags were huge. And he would look me straight in the eye and he would lie and I would believe him. But anyway, as it went on, there was certain things. Before we got married, I discovered he was already married and not divorced.
Oh, no. You're kidding.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a shock. This was after we'd set a wedding date. So he got the divorce. Then he apparently had a melanoma cancer that was a stage 4. It was a hoax. And it was all about control, and he would rage and he would be jealous, and then he would say it's because of my cancer.
So he didn't actually have cancer?
No, he didn't have cancer. So there was lots of things. It ended up being mentally, emotionally, physically, sexually, an incredibly abusive relationship. I tolerated things that I never believed. I remembered watching Sleeping with the Enemy, that movie years ago.
Remember that, yeah. With Julia Roberts?
That never happened to me, and it happened to me on steroids. So,
no way. Oh
Absolutely.
my gosh, that movie still gives me the chills when
Killings.
I think about it.
Well, that's what I was married to.
Oh
So
no.
I ended up being very, very sick. I had complicated post-traumatic stress disorder. I was addicted to him like somebody to heroin. It
Mm,
shocked me
yeah.
that he was abusing me so badly, but yet I couldn't stay away. I couldn't live with or without him. I was on and off suicidal. I
Oh no.
had at that point realized he was a narcissist, and I was
It-
seeing a therapist. I was
how
seeing
did you come to realize that?
Rebecca in the weirdest way. I was driving to an escaped haven that I had, and a voice in my head said, "Look up narcissist." I'm not
Ah,
kidding you.
the universe was taking care of you.
I Googled it. I was ticking off the points and I nearly fell off my chair. There was
Wow.
no missing it. So I sought out a personality disorder specialist this was chilling too, because the woman that was going into her appointments before me every week was pregnant to a narcissist, and his last 3 girlfriends had all committed suicide.
Wow. Oh my
So
God.
yeah, it was really, and anyway, this
Oh my
specialist
God.
said,
That's quite a path of destruction.
absolutely. And this specialist, she said to me, these are the only things that are going to come out of this. If you, because I was hooked, I was addicted. She said, either he's going to kill you, you're going to kill him. You're going to end up with a terminal disease that will take you out because you're so sick, or you're going to have a complete psychotic breakdown. Now, there were times I'd get away, and then this went on for a couple of years. And eventually I did. I had a complete psychotic breakdown. And I remember when she told me that, I thought, what does that look like? You know, like right now, I can't sleep. I have nightmares. I have adrenaline surges. I shake. I sweat. I haven't eaten for 6 months. Have I had a psychotic breakdown? No, I had complicated post-traumatic stress disorder and agoraphobia and all sorts of things. But when I had the breakdown, there was no missing it. It was almost like by remote. I'm like, okay, my brain has snapped. There was
Wow.
no missing it. I knew exactly what it meant. I got rushed off. I got taken into emergency. They took me through. I'd had a complete adrenal psychotic crash. I had absolute psychotic visions that would not stop, whether my eyes were open or closed. My adrenals were through the roof. I was told that I could have a stroke or a heart attack at any moment. Things
Oh
were that
my
bad.
God.
I was put on Valium. I went home on suicide watch because things were that bad. And I'd been told that my diagnosis was that I would need probably 3 antipsychotics for the rest of my life. That was after tests and things came
Oh
back.
my goodness.
And that I may need to be institutionalized. And I was told point blank, you will never again function as normal. You won't. It will be impossible. That was my diagnosis.
How long ago
So
was
I went,
this?
hey,
How long ago was this?
12 years now.
Wow. That's not all that
Yeah.
long ago.
No. And look, 18 months after that, I was better than I'd ever been in my entire life. But anyway,
Wow.
so I wanted to die. I thought I wanted out. That it was game over for me. You know, like I'd always been a successful type A personality who could make anything in my life work, which is a lot of narcissistic abuse victims. And now it was game over. So what happened was another voice in my head kept saying, no, there's another way. I argued with it. And to cut a long story short, I ended up falling on my bathroom floor. I put my arms up, wrestling with this voice in my head, and I just screamed, help me, I can't do this anymore. And at that moment, I had this massive epiphany. It was like all of the victim got sucked out. A huge light came in, and I saw the truth, that this was
Amazing.
about a soul evolution. This actually wasn't to do with him. He was a catalyst reflecting back to me what
Yep.
I'd always avoided and what I hadn't claimed yet, and how I'd handed my power away, and how I hadn't been sovereign or loving to myself or truthful to me, all these things. So it wasn't about judging myself. It was like this massive epiphany. Oh my God. And then in a vision, and maybe, Rebecca, you've got to be completely out of your mind to get the truth. Maybe you do. And I had the truth like I'd never had it. And I got catapulted into the future in a vision, and I saw and felt myself as I am today, as I was 18 months after that experience, where I felt whole, empowered, safe, fearless, confident, authentic. And I'd never felt that ever in my entire lifetime, ever.
Your soul needed to sing. You know, it just became a soul. I always tell people it's like a soul decision. Like your soul, I always think of, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings with Maya Angelou. It's like, no matter how caged you are, that soul is coming through. And that's what happened to you.
And my soul just went, this is it. So, and then I got snapped back into the emaciated, because I was only 80 pounds. I hadn't eaten for 6 months.
Oh my God.
You know, this emaciated, shaking, racked, traumatized, finished body. And the voice said to me, you have a choice. That's your future if you choose this mission. And I thought it was only for me. But what I'd understood was that I'd been doing therapy for decades. I'd read every book, I'd researched everything about narcissism, But what I got in the vision was there is a way to heal cellularly in your DNA from the inside out, and that's the journey you're going on. So I signed up for the journey, and it didn't mean that I was healed or I was recovered. It just meant I had hope and I had a path forward and I was guided. So the long and the short, I ended up talking my way out of the medical professional diagnoses and drugs, which in itself was a miracle. And then I went forward discovering ways to cellularly, within my being, my subconscious programs, within my visceral, emotional, somatic self, to release trauma, bring in source, which is God, which is our higher power and higher consciousness, to anchor in a true self and operate in a true way. So what happened as a result of that, there was a very vengeful, I was married to a very vengeful, destructive man who wanted to take me out of life. If he couldn't have me, I couldn't be in life as far as he was concerned.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So
the worst malignant narcissist.
He really was. And I lost everything. So it wasn't like there was anything more he could get, but he had my soul in a stranglehold, crushing it. And I was able to stop through my inner shift. It stopped all of his attacks, all of his everything, all the flying monkeys, all of the abuses by proxy, everything. He got caught out. It dissolved away. It was almost like before then, I was like a child in a cupboard, terrified to come out because I'd be beaten. And I came out of that cupboard bit by bit by bit as this sovereign, empowered being that shone a light so powerfully, it dissolved all of his attempts to do anything. And I thought I was I found a me I'd never known.
What a beautiful analogy. I love that analogy. You know, you come out swinging. Because I always say the narcissist is actually the most scared little person on the planet. The biggest secret that's not so secret is that you're the stronger one. So it's almost like by coming out and shining that light, you know, his power was diminished and
absolutely
and eradicated.
A false self is no match for a true self. And it's the analogy of a vampire. They will suck your life force until you become a great light, and then they will scamper off into the shadows. They cannot stand it. They cannot be in the presence of a true self.
Oh, so I love that quote. A false self is no match for a true self. What a beautiful, beautiful quote. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. So talk about your NARP program, Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Program. How does it help people prepare for negotiations, for court battles with the narcissist? How does it help?
Well, it's all about that premise that a true self is always going to defeat a false self. Because what happens, Rebecca, as you would know, when people are going into court battles with a narcissist is they are so traumatized. They're like I was, that little kid in the cupboard. You are so in fear. You are having the most awful threats that are hitting your primal terrors. Losing your children, losing your security, losing your house, losing your money, losing your life. Those are the things that narcissists prey on and smash within you. So then you end up terrified and capitulating, losing all of your rights. And there are so many people, Rebecca, in that place, even if they walk away with nothing, even if they lose horribly, they still don't escape the horror show. The narcissist will still keep controlling and hurting them, or the beast is still living on inside of you, even if you never hear from that person again.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, they're a lot of times they're dealing with such trauma bonding and their brain is just like such scrambled eggs that they cannot see their way to even get on the other side of it. They just think that the other side's always going to win. They're always going to get what they want. There's nothing they can do to get beyond that. So,
and there's nothing you can do. That's the powerlessness and the helplessness that is so consistent with narcissistic abuse. And it's why so many people, Rebecca, and you would have heard it time and time again, where they say you cannot beat a narcissist in litigation. You cannot win. They're going to always take everything. But it's not true.
No, it's not true. I've beat them many, many times, more often than not. You just have to know how to go ahead and do that.
Thanks so much for watching this part 1 of my conversation with the incredible Melanie Tonia Evans. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, go ahead and do that now. Subscribe and hit that notification bell. And also, if you like this video, give it a like, give it a share, drop me a comment. Let me know that you were here. And if you are getting ready to negotiate with a narcissist, grab my free Crush My Negotiation worksheet at the link below or at winmynegotiation.com. And if you haven't joined my private Facebook group, come on over and join us in that. There's lots of people giving each other tons of support. So you can just join that at the link below as well. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll see you in part 2 of this interview. Remember, today's a great day for negotiating your best life.